Welcome back to the Mastermind channel. We are prepping for the OSTP. This is our third practice video, 8th grade. Here we go. We are on page 21. In class, we looked at multiplying and dividing numbers in scientific notation. Remember, when you're multiplying, you multiply the leading numbers. So I do 5.34 times 1.6, and as you might guess, that is going to be 8.544. This first one is not in scientific notation, and this does say to write your answer in scientific notation. Remember, numbers in scientific notation, the leading number has to be between 1 and 10. Next, we are going to multiply the powers of 10. 10 to the 9th times 10 to the 7th, which means we will add up their exponents. 9 plus 7 is 16, hence B is the correct answer. Number 2, we want to find the quotient, again, in scientific notation. Let's look at our answer options before we do anything else, and cross off B, because that is not in scientific notation, and D is not in scientific notation. The number has to be between 1 and 10, so that's why these two fall out. Now, dividing this will obviously give us 1.4, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Now we're looking at the powers. 10 to the 10th divided by 10 to the 5th. Careful here. That is not 10 divided by 5. That's where they're wanting to mislead you with this too. It's 10 factors of 10 and 5 factors of 10. When we cancel 5 of those out, we're left with 5 factors of 10 up here. So it is C. Number 3. This number in scientific notation, we have 4,879. We have to move this over 1, 2, 3 places. Okay, so this is a large number. This is not a fraction. Okay, so we're not going to have a negative exponent. Negative exponents are for fractions because they mean division. So we moved it 3 places, which gives us C, 10 to the 3rd. Number 4, a light year. Light year, that is 1 light year, is 9.45 times 10 to the 12th kilometers, and 1 star near Earth is about 4.3 light years away. So we want to know how many kilometers 4.3 light years is. So we multiply 4.3 times 9.45, and 4 times 9, or 4.3 times 9.45 would give us 40.635, but that is not in scientific notation. They don't point out to give the answer in scientific notation here, but this is also not correct, because it's not 10 to the 14th. Okay, the only thing we're multiplying here is this leading number, because there's no times 10 to anything, so it's going to be times 10 to the 12th, times 10 to the 12th, and then we have 40.635. That is not an option on here, so we'll change this into scientific notation. Move that decimal over. We made this smaller, so we have to make that bigger. So it's 4.0635, and make this times 10 to the 13th power. If we make this smaller, we have to make the power bigger. Alright, that's C. Light travels at approximately 1.225 times 10 to the 6 meters per hour. What's that speed in kilometers per hour? Meters and kilometers. There are 1,000 meter in a kilometer, so we divide by 1,000. So that gives us times 10 to the 3rd. Here we go. Population is this. What is that in scientific notation? Decimal goes here, 6 after it, so that is C. It's not a fraction, so it's not one of these. Page 22. Okay, we're going to type these into our calculators. Now, make sure you're placing the parentheses. Make sure the exponents are outside the parentheses, and you have the negative sign, not the minus sign. That's a different one on the calculator when you're typing this. Also remember, anything to the 0 power is 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Alright, so here are the answers. We got C, A, C, B, D, C. If you don't know how to type a fraction into a calculator, either come and ask me, or you could change the fraction to a decimal. That's 3.5. This is 2.25. Or there's various ways. You can do 1 divided by 2, 1 divided by 4. Okay, up here, make sure that when you type this in, the parentheses are set the right way. The exponent applies to the negative 10. That would make that positive 100. And then 13 minus 100. Okay? So make sure you type in everything in to the calculator correctly. Oh, before you're confused, it would say 13 minus 100, but you have to do these operations over here first. You have to divide this first before you subtract. Can't do 13 minus the 100 first. Just in case you thought that's what I was saying. That's not what I was saying. The top view. Now, I had a good discussion today. The top view is assuming that this shape is standing on its base. A prism is always named for its base, which would mean the base shape is a triangle, and we are assuming in the top view that it is sitting on its base, so the top view would be a triangle. Number 2, which best describes this one. We had some trouble with this. We know that this is a rectangular prism, okay, not a triangular prism, so it can't be this one. It's definitely not a cube. Okay, now, this can be a rectangular prism. This shape here could be a rectangle, it could be a square. We know that this at the end here is not a prism, it is a pyramid that's kind of tilted to its side. So it's not a prism, so it's not A, so it has to be C, which means this is actually a square. It's hard to see in perspective from this angle, but it could be. Alright. This was pretty easy. That's a cone. Right? And then yeah, well, this one, okay, that's C. Here. Very important. Although both of these are right triangles, only one of them has C as the longest side, opposite the right angle. Very important. Make sure you're paying attention to that. Whoa, C is the longest side. The length of segment BD. Okay? Sometimes it helps to draw that. This is a right angle. Boom. We know that this length right here is 8, and this is 6. 6 squared is 36, plus 8 squared is 64. Add those together, you get 100. Square root of 100 is 10. Number 3. One leg of a right triangle measures 9 centimeters. Zoop. And its hypotenuse is 12 centimeters. What is the length of the other leg? Key here that this is the hypotenuse, which means we're going to do 12 squared minus 9 squared. Because if you know the lengths of A and C, subtract their squares and you'll get the square of B. Whoa, and then square root it. There's nothing to it. To find the measure, even if you know the longest side. So then you would get 144 minus 81, and that is 63. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I know that 64, square root of 64, is 8, so it's got to be a little bit less than 8, so it's 7.9. How much shorter is the direct path from A to B than the path that goes from A to C to B? Okay, so A to B, and then A to C to B. Alright, let's do the easy part first. This here, A to C to B, this is 2 right there, and this down here is 5. So A to C to B is 7. The question is how much shorter. They're not asking you how long that path is from A to B, they're asking how much shorter it is. So now we do 5 squared plus 2 squared equals a to b squared, and then square root it. 25 plus 4, square root that. Square root of 29 is going to be more than 5, less than 6, so it's going to be 5.4. Now, careful. That's what they wanted you to do. Okay, this right here is the length of a to b, 5.4. However, that was not the question. Now we go back here, we say it's how much shorter, so 7 minus 5.4, and that is 1.6, da-ding-da-ding, not 5.4. Don't fall for that silly trick. And that's all, folks. Practice, practice, practice. You can do it. See you next time.